What do you do if your escrow is about to fall through and the underwriter just doesn't believe you? This is a story about our client trying to buy a home, but because the underwriter was confused about his finances, was not going to issue the loan, and the escrow was about to close. The seller was going to move on. It was a terrible situation because our client finally found his dream house after months and months of searching, and because of one small misunderstanding was going to get canceled. And then he reached out to us and we helped it make it happen. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, this is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Zahn Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the story is our client was about to buy a house, but because of the underwriter's confusion about our client's particular ownership of a company, was not willing to issue the loan. We have done so many of these in the past year and a half because of the pandemic, because of all the grants that went through and the stimulus money. People are buying homes left and right. But because a lot of people have complicated financial situations and the underwriter doesn't get to have a face-to-face conversation with you, they have to just look at your documents. And when they're looking at your documents and if the explanation just doesn't seem to add up, then they will not issue you the loan. And you have to switch to another mortgage company that might issue you the loan. But we all know the escrow is only so long. You only have a few weeks, and changing an escrow company in the last minute, if the seller doesn't agree, and because it's a seller's market, the seller could choose another buyer, and suddenly you lose out on this offer that was finally agreed upon just because of a small misunderstanding. Now, I don't really know why you can't just directly talk to the underwriter and explain and provide documentation. You have to go through an intermediary, and sometimes things get lost in translation, and sometimes it takes days before they respond. Well, maybe it's because of efficiency or for whatever reason. That's the situation in America, and that's the way loans are processed. So we've been contacted by so many clients in this exact same situation. Maybe the client, or in this particular case, the client has a company and the ownership of the company is unclear, and so the underwriter wants stock certificates, wants tax returns, wants minutes, wants certificates of shares, and a lot of times the client himself cannot get those particular documents for whatever reason, or they do get it, but it's still unclear how many shares they actually own and how many percentages own, because it's a closed corporation. It's not like it's a publicly traded company. So because of that, a lot of clients have reached out to us to issue a legal opinion letter. As an attorney, I've reviewed all of these documents. So we issue a legal opinion letter to the underwriter explaining exactly what the risks are for the company. What are the things that the underwriter is concerned about? Does our client own a controlling interest in a particular private company? How much liability is that? Are there any litigations happening right now? Has my client been sued? Has the company been sued? Or does the client even own any interest in these particular corporations? Because maybe he owned it back in 2019, 2020, but he has since transferred the shares to somebody else. It just hasn't been actualized on a tax return for the underwriter to see, right? So all of these explanations before, the client would just explain in an email and maybe sign it on a piece of paper, but because it wasn't explained clearly, many days have passed. The underwriter wants to see more documents, right? So they ask for one thing, you respond with one thing. They ask for another thing, you respond with two more things, and now the underwriter is telling the intermediary, sorry, I don't have enough documents, I'm not gonna approve it. Now the client freaks out and says, well, why didn't you ask for all these things in the first place? I could have provided a lot more. But sadly, now there's only 2 days left before the escrow is about to close. Things need to be approved. And so last minute, we get retained to issue a legal opinion letter, reviewing everything, giving it to the underwriter. And once the underwriter sees that there is an official legal opinion letter from a California attorney stating these facts, that they have no liability and everything is on the attorney, should something go wrong, they are much more likely to approve the loan. And so basically, we step in the place of all the risks that the underwriter takes on these core issues, and we issue that opinion, and the underwriters typically are much happier when they see that, and the case gets approved much sooner. And that is why we as attorneys get pulled into these real estate transactions, even though we're not really part of the buyer or the seller, but we have to issue these legal opinions. Now, what's important to know is a lot of these banks are not necessarily even situated in the US. A lot of times they are, but maybe it's a foreign bank in France or in Singapore or in Hong Kong, and they are issuing a loan because they're buying a property over there. But our client has real estate and or corporations in California. Well, how are they supposed to know what liability the client has in California? So they would require a legal opinion letter, and that's what we do. So long story short, our client was able to secure the property of his dreams, able to come through and help explain what was misunderstood. And that's it. If you have any questions about legal opinion letters, feel free to reach out to us. It's always fun doing these type of cases because as attorneys, we are the adversary for the client and we are here to help make dreams come true. And basically, we're helping you get everything organized, explain it professionally so that anybody reviewing your documents would nod the head and give you the approval. And that's what we do, help you get the yes.